Greetings and welcome to the Prime Directive. I'm your host Jefficho, and my co-host is always Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hello.
So, Chris, let's talk Borg.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you didn't want to, I would. You know what I would have said. But I think the big question is, are we going to see the Borg on Discovery?
Yeah, so we've had some questionable canon interactions with Discovery so far. Seeing some things maybe we shouldn't. Seeing some things, maybe we should. The Sarek thing worked out really well. But I think of all the Star Trek races that I would love to see an updated version of, the Borg have got to be at the top of my list.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile.
If we can find some way to shoehorn and justify a Borg story arc, so we can see, that modern big budget cube and, the amazing prosthetics and makeup jobs they've got going on there, I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, they'll definitely look a lot less rubbery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, timeline-wise, the Borg don't really hit the Federation till the 23rd century.
Yeah.
But we've had the little hiccups of First Contact, leaving wreckage there, so it showed up in Enterprise.
Yep.
Yeah, there's always the fact that they can spore jump anywhere.
They can spore jump anywhere you want, man.
Yeah.
That could be it. That's just like, hey, let's spore jump somewhere and do explory Starfleet things. Immediately Borg.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe that's why they give up on the sport.
It is basically the Stargate of storytelling. Like, well, let's go through here and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, we're having a slight malfunction in the drive there. Oops. We're in the Delta Quadrant.
Uh-oh. Where have we seen that before?
Yeah, let's not go there. And obviously the Discovery would be quite the prize for the Borg. I mean, with all the technology things. And whenever the Borg have a problem, they can just turn to their ship Discovery to solve it.
Absolutely. But, I think even if they did assimilate the spore drive, they wouldn't be able to do anything with it because Borg ships don't have a spinny section.
Yeah, you could spin a cube.
Nah, man, they'd have to make Borg Rubik's Cubes and just have the center going. As they stand, couldn't do it.
Do have a lot of space in those. Obviously Discovery, yeah, you said it's going to update them. They'll probably be faster.
God, I don't like fast zombies, and that's essentially what the Borg are. Is they're Star Trek's, mechanical space zombies.
Yeah, TNG did do a good job of making them still scary, but I think I just don't see them not upping the action, which means upping the speed.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
To figure out what kind we're going to get, let's jump through some of the old iterations we've gotten.
Alright.
So in the first Borg episode of TNG, Q introduces the Enterprise to the Borg.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand why Q is totally willing to wipe out the human race because of their savagery, but won't wipe out the Borg.
Yeah, clearly we're not the worst going on. I always kind of thought it was sort of a hypocrisy thing, like, we're playing all high and mighty in our Federation and, pretending we're all enlightened, but, he thinks we're still these baser creatures.
Con permiso, Capitan. The hall is rented, the orchestra engaged. It's now time to see if you can dance.
Yeah, that's probably why all of Picard's speeches is like, we're trying to be better.
Yeah. Well, it's like Kirk's speech. It's, I choose not to kill today.
Do you think maybe Q is just kind of grooming Picard because they're afraid of the Borg?
I've heard people talk about that. There's that one little line in Voyager where Q scolds his kid about, what did I tell you about, interfering with the Borg? Like, what the heck are the Borg gonna do to the Q? Like, that makes no sense for the Q to
They
be
seem
afraid
to
of
be
the Borg
able
at
to
all.
adapt and, assimilate everything.
They can't adapt to Species 8472, Jeff.
I'm saying, like...
But we are jumping way ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, well, I'm saying Picard's record speaks for himself. Like,
I am Locutus, of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over.
And speaking of Picard, in Best of Both Worlds, he pretty much becomes the Borg ambassador when he's assimilated.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on Discovery you think that would be impactful enough that they would be like, oh no, they've taken our Saru?
Well, maybe. I don't want Saru to leave though. Doug Jones is amazing, but they do have an abundance of first officers at the moment.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need two first officers till you have that captain.
Can you please make it stop? Even for a moment?
Saru having voices in his head, not feeling scared anymore, that's his dream.
Oh, yeah, he's a pack animal.
Yeah, so he might like that.
Maybe.
Might give himself willingly.
Ugh. That would be I don't think we've seen much willing assimilation into the collective. Not from someone who hasn't been assimilated yet.
The closest thing was Data, and he was just teasing us.
Yeah.
Data! Resistance is futile.
In TNG Iborg, they introduced us to Hugh, who was like a survivor of a crashed Borg cube or something, and he was just discovering life. He had a different motive. Mm-hmm. So do you think Borg can have different motive?
Yeah, we saw, going into that, we saw him become an individual.
Resistance is not futile.
But you are Borg.
I am Hugh.
That was one of the only episodes where Picard is actually in the moral wrong here. And I thought that was really interesting, showing his PTSD, and even Picard needs to be talked into doing the right things sometimes.
I'm quite recovered from my experience, thank you.
Even when a victim has dealt with his assault, there are residual effects of the event that linger. You were treated violently by the Borg. Kidnapped, assaulted, mutilated.
Counselor.
But yeah, from that we go into Descent, the two-parter, and we see the chaos that Hughes caused with Laura's sort of Borg army or Borg cult. Yeah. And how that sense of individuality has actually kind of done the job of the virus that they wanted to put in but ended up not using.
And we also got to see they kind of developed their own ships too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that wasn't a cube, that was just a Borg mess. Right?
Yeah, it was a giant mess, and they could destroy it with sun. Just get some solar flares to hit it.
Yeah.
Good maneuver, Beverly, good maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
So First Contact introduced us to the Borg Queen. Now, you were saying you're not a huge fan of how they did it?
God, so one of the most interesting things about the Borg is how they are just this force of nature almost. They're just this unstoppable, unfeeling, force that comes after you. And when you personify it with the Queen like that, it kind of takes away some of the fear. It kind of takes away some of the edge, what made them interesting. But the part that really upset me was I feel like they had a missed opportunity to explain why the Queen was there. I see what they're going for. It's like, an insect colony is like hive.
Yeah, you keep saying hive mentality.
Yeah. But I just thought it was lame that no one had known she'd existed already.
How could you forget me so quickly? We were very close, you and I.
Yes, I remember you.
Like, Picard's just like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. Oh, I remember now. And I think it would have been way more interesting if the Queen was the result of the Borg adapting, that's that thing they do, to the individuality that Hugh brought into the collective. Because we saw how that, was causing chaos and mayhem for them. And what are the Borg going to do? They're going to adapt. So they take that sense of individuality and just make this Borg Queen out of it.
Yeah, they do seem to cause their own kind of disruptions within the community.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got that Unimatrix Zero episode in Voyager where it's just like they've created their own little resistance in there that don't agree with how the Borg Collective works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have seen a lot of, like you say, different motivations for Borg and sort of individual Borgs as much as that's a contradiction in terms. And, maybe Discovery, if they did Borg, would look at that maybe a more nuanced take on individual drones or something.
You have killed Torsus. I will make you suffer for this.
Enterprise, they picked up the pieces literally of the wreckage of First Contact there, and we saw that just even frozen Borg don't die, and that they will repair themselves, and they can start up the Borg anywhere. Just need one Borg, or maybe even just a piece of technology from them.
Again, just like the zombie thing. That's what they're doing.
But I really liked how they took this crappy freighter and they adapted, and it's it's going warp 3. That freighter shouldn't be able to do that. Oh shit, it's going warp 4. Oh, that freighter should not be able to do that. We're warp 5 vessel. We're not even able to catch this thing at this rate.
Yeah.
But I really hope they don't Enterprise it, because I felt that they just tiptoed around the canon so tightly.
They had to make sure that no one said Borg.
Yeah, you literally got we will assimilate you and add you. But they didn't say...
Who will assimilate me?
Yeah,
what is going on?
Yeah, no, but the biggest problem with that was it was season 2 of Enterprise. Had it been season 4, it probably would have been great. I actually heard season 5 of Enterprise had a Borg idea, but we never got there.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to talk more about Voyager, but in the episode Raven, Seven actually has some of her nanoprobes create Borg implants coming out of her skin.
You will be assimilated.
It'd be a cool idea just to have technology do that, where say Discovery's on a away mission and a guy picks up this device and it just infects him.
Yeah, just a big Borg tech with some nanoprobes on it.
Yeah, and then he could go back to the ship. It could be a little mini arc where he's getting sick at first, and then he's getting better at his job, and everybody's like, "Yeah, you're doing great, Ensign, whatever the hell your name is." And then of course he's not going to tell anybody what happened, because he's in the parades. It's going to help his career.
Until he starts assimilating the crew.
Until he starts having some of these bad things. That might be a little too on the nose with what happened with Vok, where it's just I killed somebody.
Let's just do this every
bad.
season. Yeah.
But I don't know, I think that would be a really cool way for them to start.
And that'd sort of be like that other Voyager episode, 1.
Yeah, with the doctor's little device there.
Yeah.
And 7 and stuff, that thing, it started off as an individuality, and it wanted to meet the Borg. But then once it learned about the Borg, then it was just okay, yeah, I don't really agree with them.
I really like the idea of the nanoprobes getting at the 29th century tech or whatever that is, and what it's going to be able to do with those.
I'm not gonna lie, future Borg look lamer.
Yeah, they kind of do. But that makes me wonder, what would happen if the Borg got their hands on some of what Discovery's doing.
Well, that's the thing. We've seen the TNG Borg, and they were pretty much the TNG Borg and Voyager mostly.
Yeah.
But the more advanced tech they get, the more they evolve into something different. So, we're not going to get that in Discovery, because they can't. Canon says no.
Yeah.
But
the Borg with a spore drive would be just a complete chaos. That would probably be not only could their ships appear anywhere, they'd probably get a handle on what the tardigrade was doing. Individual drones could just pop in.
You could probably just assimilate a tardigrade.
Yeah.
The Borg have assimilated thousands of species.
Correct.
What becomes of those species?
Their neural pathways are restructured and linked to a single collective mind, the Hive. Their bodies are augmented with cybernetic technology. They become drones.
In some ways, the Borgs are kind of like immortals. So it could be assimilation by choice when it comes to sick people and being oh, I'm going to go offer myself to the Borg. And you could have different sects of Borg and different ways that they interact, because we've only really seen what one type of Borg does.
Yeah.
We don't know there's not other sections of Borg out there doing different things.
Oh man, see, again, that might be interesting, but it just flies in the face of the Borg.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be just one mind, united thing, and they're gonna eat you.
Yeah, it makes them less of a villain though, more of just a piece of nature.
Yeah. I think that's how to write the Borg and have it be most effective. If Discovery's going to do it, I'd really want them to be like that.
We're Borg. You've forgotten what that means.
The unity of the collective. Common goals. The quest for perfection I have not forgotten. But you don't need to remain drones to experience those things.
One thing that they don't do well enough, I think, in Star Trek is show the different aspects of the culture, where you just see like, oh, the Klingons are Vikings and a warrior race, so all the Klingons you see are generally Vikings and a warrior race. There's no hippies.
Yeah.
And like you said, the Ferengi, like they did get an overhaul, but then they're all greedy. So they're all the same.
Mm-hmm. And you know, a lot of the time Star Trek functions as metaphor, and you know, I see what they're doing. These races are stand-ins for aspects of humanity. Some things that we might like, some things we might not like. But you know, when you're actually watching the story, a lot of these races and characters can end up being really one-dimensional for the sake of the metaphor.
Yeah, which like if you want to shout out one-dimensional enemies, Call. It's probably the most one-dimensional I've seen in some time.
Yeah.
I mean, Khan had many dimensions to him. He kept falling back into like, I'm gonna have to kill people, but he had other dimensions.
Yeah.
Superior woman. I will take her. And I've gotten something else I wanted. A world to win, an empire to build.
In Voyager Dark Frontier, Janeway tries to get a hold of a transwarp coil so that they could learn and do transwarp. Basically shave 20 years off their trip.
Yeah.
So, how did the Borg invent transwarp? Did they run into Discovery and kind of learn how Discovery does stuff, and it kind of changed their mind and, you know, assimilated some scientists that are like, hey, I've got another theory. Yep. Transwarp.
Yeah, and one thing that I'd like to see if we do end up doing Borg is maybe get some more of a history. You know, how did this start? Where did these guys come from? You know, was it was this just one invention run amok, or was this just a society that, you know, continually started putting more tech into themselves? You know, did they just start with putting their phones in their brains and then it just went to here? You know, how did this happen?
Yeah, that would be an interesting origin story to do. I think it would need its like little own movie or something.
Yeah,
be a good Doctor Who episode.
Mm-hmm.
You like having friends, don't you? Assimilation turns us all into friends. In fact, it brings us so close together we can hear each other's thoughts.
Is that fun?
Yes. It's fun.
So we think of the Borg mostly as like the bad guys because they're against the Federation there. But in that Voyager episode Child's Play, they were not the worst people in there. The worst people were Icheb's parents. Give me back my son so that I can sacrifice him to the Borg again.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore.
I wish that was a two-parter because how fucked the morality in that is would have been great to explore.
Yeah, a little more exploration on that.
You know, I get the needs of the many, but there are some things that are wrong. And that was crossing the line.
Yeah, let's sacrifice him to the Borg. Again.
He was genetically engineered to produce the pathogen. From birth.
Bred to kill Borg.
Is he in danger?
I can suppress the pathogen. He'll be fine.
We didn't see the Borg assimilate the planet. They were just kind of taking their offerings. So, like, is it easier for them just to farm slowly? Like, I would think they'd want to take a whole planet.
One of the most interesting fan theories I've seen about the Borg is with their interaction with the Federation. You know, every time they send a cube, they get like this close to assimilating Earth or the Federation or whatever. But they don't actually do it. You know, if they ever sent 2 cubes, done. You know, it's like overwhelming force right there. So one really interesting theory that I've seen is that the Borg are actually farming humanity in the Federation. They're sending, you know, just enough force against them so that they have to come up with something. They have to come up with some new technology or a new idea, and then the Borg just assimilate that, because that is how they learn. They don't come up with their own ideas. They just assimilate things from other cultures. So they're just sort of learning how to farm ideas from other species.
I mean, yeah, we did come up with new spaceships to fight the Borg. The Defiant was one of those.
Yep.
Got knocked out pretty easy in First Contact, though.
It's
a little ship.
It's a tough little ship.
But
Adrift, but salvageable. Tough little ship. Little?
Even the Akira class, I could probably list a few others, but yeah, you're right. It definitely, we up our technology to fight our greater foes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically a space war. Like, you always advance your technology each side.
Yep.
So running through a lot of these, I think Discovery has a lot of options to choose from which style of Borg they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you think they might go with? Like, do you have a preference, or do you think they're just going to go with the one that defends canon most?
Yeah, that's one option. It might just be that. If they have to do this, I don't know how they're going to shove it into the canon and make it work correctly. But like the visuals alone would be stellar. It'd be incredible, and it's something that I really want to see. So if they can pull it off, I hope that they can find some way to make it jive with what we know already. And I really hope they go back to sort of the Q-Who and Best of Both Worlds era Borg that are, they're just this one mind, force of nature kind of thing, and they don't give me any more Borg Queen. I never liked her.
You're one of many with this sickness. We want to cure you, but we need a better way to identify those with the mutation. Our testing method is too slow. It could take centuries to identify everyone.
They become a real difficult enemy because of their like hive mind. It's just like, oh, they're attacking these systems, and then they're attacking these ones, like, and they're all doing it for one purpose. In that Enterprise episode, like, they were way prepared for Enterprise. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's fire. Oh, our power's out. Terrific.
Yeah.
Tucker to the bridge. These cybernetic circuits just lit up like a Christmas tree.
I hope they start with like a little mini arc and just start it off cute. Have the little nanoprobes be the first issue that somebody has,
mm-hmm.
and then full on spore jump into hell. What are we gonna do here? Oh, cool. This species 84710 or whatever they are.
Yeah.
They're saving our asses. I recently watched a video where they're talking about how Janeway is actually probably the worst captain, and I can't disagree with that. But how she's making an alliance with the Borg rather than the species that is beating the Borg. And it would make more sense because she could actually have a treaty with the species. As we saw, there were episodes where they got along.
Yeah, when they were Boothby.
Yeah, when they were Boothby. And the erotic lieutenant of seducing Chakotay.
I'm no expert at human dating rituals, but I think it's customary to kiss goodnight.
That species, like, they were winning. They didn't need to make a treaty with Janeway.
Yeah, well, I mean, let us fly through and help us. We'll never invade your space. We won't help the Borg. We won't help develop weapons to kill you.
Yeah,
because that's what they
we
did.
Can do that.
Yeah. They became the enemy.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a bad decision on Janeway's part.
I guess. No, it's a bad decision on 8472's part. Worked out fine for Janeway.
Yeah. Well, she did have to break all the temporal walls and stuff.
Yeah.
But I digress. As we saw in the lore episode with the Borg, that they were a lot faster, and like it didn't really sacrifice much to me. Like I still was like, oh, like Borg are a threat. They're working together as a unit. So like I just don't see Discovery giving us slow zombie.
I'm a purist, man. I want my old school Borgs.
Yeah, as long as they don't Enterprise it, I want to hear.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Figure out some way to make it work later.
Even after all the shows, when you heard that in First Contact, it was epic.
Yep.
But what are your guys' thoughts on this? Comment in the section below. Let us know what type of Borgs you'd like to see and how you would do it.
Yeah. Or maybe if there's another alien race that you think deserves a Discovery overhaul.
Yeah, definitely. What else could fit into Discovery these days?
Mm-hmm.
A master Tribble race. We need to see the planet Tribble that the Klingons destroy that Worf talks about.
Yeah, and we need to know where Merkin came from.
Where did Merkin go? Did he just leave because he lost his Lorca?
Maybe.
Well, as always, thanks for watching.